Mr. Krekorian.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Koretz, for bringing this matter before us, and colleagues for your comments. I think my record on energy speaks for itself. I was the author of the 33% renewable energy standard when I was a member of the Assembly, and so this is an area that I care very deeply about, and I appreciate that we've had this opportunity for discussion. And I know a little bit about this, but apparently not as much as I think I need to, because we're hearing some very conflicting information even about the very process and the licensing process that comes as news to me, that I'm learning for the first time right now at 2 o'clock on our very last day as I'm standing here. And that is a little troubling to me, because I don't know how these licensing procedures work. I don't know the time that it takes. I don't know if there's a more expedited way that we could be proceeding. I don't know what this atomic licensing board, I'm sorry, I forgot, whatever it is. I assume this is a subservient agency to the NRC. This is something that reports its decision-making to the NRC. And I assume, but I don't know, as I sit here, and I don't know if any of our staff knows, that the NRC being the regulatory agency over this industry, has the right to make its own independent decision regardless of what this other agency reports as to what degree of evidentiary hearing there should be. The point is, I don't know any of this, and I'm troubled by the fact that it's, our very last day, and we don't know the answers to any of these things. I mean, I think on the substance, the no-brainer part, as Mr. Rosendahl said, I think we all agree with. Certainly, this plant should not start up until we have a high level of confidence that it can start up in a safe fashion. Of course that's true. But I'm a little concerned that we have a lot of environmental concerns that we don't know the answers to. For example, and as long as you're here, let me just ask you, if San Onofre is delayed in its repowering, where is your baseload power going to come in the peak months of this summer? Where's that going to come from?
We continue to make contingency plans for the upcoming year. This next summer will be tighter than the prior summer. The prior summer, the California Independent System Operator was able to restart Huntington Beach 3 and 4 plants.
Which is what?
Those were gas plants along the coast at Huntington Beach, okay, in the relatively close proximity to San Onofre.
So you're going to burn fossil fuel plants during the interim period to make up for that baseload power?
Well, we are, but it's a little more problematic than that, because the Huntington Beach 3 and 4 units have now surrendered their licenses, so they can't operate this upcoming summer. So the grid is likely to be tighter with less generation. But
the only place you're going to be able to go for baseload power is to fossil fuels.
It will be to fossil fuel, that's
including
correct.
Including peaker plants?
Peaker plants, rather than baseload, would make up the difference in supply between, say, the intermittent renewables like wind and solar and the system demand. So the peaker plants would be running this summer as well.
The very power that we have in this state are going to be fired up to make up for that power during the fluctuations. So I guess the point here, colleagues, is I don't know whether this delay, if there is going to be a delay, and I don't even know if there is. I don't think we've established that this licensing process is going to take longer than another. We haven't even established that part. But if there is, that's going to have very real environmental consequences for Southern California that we haven't even explored in terms of our air quality and our carbon footprint and our particulate emissions and everything else. We don't have the first idea about any of that. So, and we don't have the appropriate, no offense, but the best person to answer those questions in terms of what its impact will be on our utility is not even here. So as much as I would love to be supportive of the notion that this city should be on record insisting that San Onofre not be repowered until we are absolutely confident in its safe doing so. The process that we're going through right now leaves me with more questions, I think, than answers, and I would feel a lot more comfortable having some sense of the impact of this action. Let me ask you this question, if I can, and I don't mean to put you on the spot as the representative of Edison here, but this is what I'm understanding from the few minutes of public comment that I've heard on the spot here, and I'm trying to figure it out. This agency that decides whether or not there will have to be an evidentiary hearing process for the licensing, that is in itself an adversary process, I assume, in which Edison has the opportunity to respond as to whether or not an evidentiary hearing is required. Is that a true statement?
It is. It's legally briefed.
All right. So, and now we know that, or we've heard that there's a briefing schedule. You said that you've been advised that briefing schedule may be continued, but again, we don't know. Would you stipulate for us that the City of Los Angeles's views on this matter could be considered as part of that process, even if it's not submitted in time according to the current briefing schedule as was stated by the members of the public?
It's not clear to me how it would work in the ASLB process. What I am assured is that the city has a number of other processes as well that are not at all time constrained, that would be during the process of restart. So again, there's at least 2 ASLBs that are open right now, and I don't have the specific schedules on both of them. But the ASLB also is, if you will, a recommendation to the NRC. The NRC can as well take or leave that also. So the NRC has, the commissioners themselves have the final ruling.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cardenas.
Call the question.
Okay, the question has been called. But before we do that, Mr. City Attorney, there was some questions related to Mr. Koretz's reintroduction. Could you explain?
Yes, I believe Mr. Koretz's substitute motion was not appropriate in that he merely wanted the council to adopt what was already on the agenda. So I would interpret that as advocacy to vote for what's on the agenda. So what's before council would be the motion to refer the matter back to committee, and if that fails, then the item number 28.
Okay, so the question has been called. Any objections? Okay, well now let's prepare to vote on, would it be the amendment, Mr. City Attorney?
First, the question, there's been a motion to call the question to stop debate. So,
and I said without objection.
Okay, then the motion to refer the matter to committee would be first.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll. Oh, wait, Mr. Koretz, Mr. Krekorian.
There was some discussion about what the friendly amendment was, and as I understood it, Mr. Huizar made a motion that Mr. Koretz offered an amendment to that was considered friendly, and that amendment was that notwithstanding the referral of this matter to committee, the council would still convey its concerns that were articulated by Mr. Koretz, and that was accepted as friendly by Mr. Huizar. Am I correct in that?
No.
Mr. Koretz?
Or are you...
What I asked for as an amendment was that we communicate to the hearing body that we would like them to delay their decision until they have heard from us.
Exactly. And that was accepted as friendly by Mr. Huizar.
Okay, so that's what we're voting on, I think, Huizar-Garcetti amendment. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 4 noes.
Okay. All items from the special meeting will go forthwith.
All right.